All right, let's unpack a story that, on the surface, seems like a simple tale about a boy and a dog. But trust me, it quickly spirals into this nail-biting caper full of wild disguises, backyard booby traps, and oh yeah, a massive fortune hidden in the most unbelievable place. Let's dive right in. And when I say massive, I mean it. The stakes here are just sky high. The entire scheme, the whole reason for all this chaos, is a prize worth a staggering $5 million. I mean, that's the kind of money that makes people do some really extraordinary and really dangerous things. And here's the genius, low-tech twist at the very heart of their plan. You can forget all about laser grids and complex vaults. The key to this entire multi-million-dollar heist was an unsuspecting dog. Basically, a four-legged Trojan horse, designed to walk a fortune right under everyone's noses. So how did this whole thing go down? Well, we're going to break it down into 5 parts. First, we'll look at the $1 million package itself. Then we'll see how a lonely kid finds a very unexpected friend. Of course, that friendship kicks off a desperate hunt in the woods, which leads to this amazing showdown at a secret fort. And it all wraps up with a choice that kind of redefines what being a hero is all about.
Okay, so let's get into it. Our story really starts with 2 totally different worlds. They don't even know the other exists, but they are on a direct collision course. You got the world of these professional criminals, and then you got the quiet, everyday world of a suburban town.
Now this plan, it is audacious. It's all about misdirection. The ringleader, a guy named Blackie, uses the most disarming disguise you can think of, a nun. I mean, who's gonna suspect a nun? It just immediately lowers everyone's guard. And the dog, she's not just a dog, she is the package. The whole goal is to get this living, breathing safe right past security and hand her off at some remote truck stop. It's a brilliant plan, if everything goes perfectly. And while all of this is going down, we cut to a completely different scene. Far, far away from the heist, we meet our young hero, Owen, who's just a kid living a pretty normal life in a quiet town. But Owen is anything but ordinary. He's this super creative inventor, always building stuff, and he's turned his backyard fort into his own personal workshop. He's also going through a tough time. He recently lost his dog, and he's dealing with a local bully. And on top of all that, he's totally fascinated by this local legend, a mysterious figure people call the Madman of the Mountain, who, believe me, is about to play a much, much bigger role in his life than he could ever possibly imagine. And this is where those 2 worlds we talked about finally, violently collide. A simple act of kindness from Owen is about to set off a chain reaction that absolutely nobody could have seen coming. So I want you to just imagine this for a second. You stumble onto a secret worth millions of dollars. You're just a kid. The cops don't believe you. What do? Because that is the exact spot Owen is about to find himself in. It all starts so simply. Owen sees these criminals mistreating a dog, so he offers her some water. It creates just enough of a distraction for her to make a run for it, deep into the woods. Later, Owen finds her hiding out in his fort, totally scared and all alone. And that's when he sees it, her collar, just glittering with what look like real jewels. He feels this instant need to protect her and gives her the only name that makes any sense, Diamond. And just like that, the fuse is lit. The criminals, with Blackie in the lead, are in a complete and total panic. Their $5 million package is running loose somewhere in the woods, and the clock is ticking on their midnight deadline. So yeah, the hunt is on. This timeline just perfectly shows you how fast everything starts to escalate. Diamond escapes and hides out in Owen's fort, but the criminals find a huge clue, Owen's bike, which he left behind, and that gives them his name. From there, they track him to his house, and they trick his sister into giving them the final piece of the puzzle, the location of his secret fort. The walls are closing in, fast. So this all leads us to the climax of the whole story. This isn't just a chase anymore, it's a full-on siege. You've got 3 very dangerous criminals versus 1 really resourceful kid on his home turf. And this is where Owen's inventor brain just becomes his greatest weapon. He turns his own fort into a tactical playground. He's not fighting them with brute strength, he's fighting with pure strategy. He uses booby traps to create diversions, a homemade tennis ball cannon to cause some chaos, and he uses his deep knowledge of the woods to just run circles around them. But his masterpiece? A simple boat pre-filled with industrial-strength glue, which turns into the perfect inescapable trap. And look, let's be totally clear, this was not some kid's game. The situation was deadly serious. Blackie himself screams at him, "You're history, kid." These criminals were desperate, they were violent, and they were closing in. Owen wasn't just defending a fort, he was literally fighting for his life. Okay, so with the criminals finally captured, the dust starts to settle, and the full truth of what was really going on finally comes to light. And it reveals a huge twist and totally unpacks a local myth.
And here it is, the final, absolutely stunning twist. When the police actually check out the collar, they find out the jewels are completely worthless fakes. The real $5 million fortune had been surgically implanted inside Diamond the whole time. That sparkly collar, it was just a clever decoy. The criminals were never just after the collar, they were after the dog herself. And remember that local legend, the Madman of the Mountain? Yeah, well, that story got it completely wrong. The man, Carl Westmeister, wasn't some monster. He was a hero who had been through this immense personal tragedy. And far from being a threat, he'd actually been secretly watching over Owen and Diamond, acting as their silent guardian through this whole thing.
This brings us to Owen's most difficult choice. I mean, he could keep Diamond, the friend he literally risked his life for. His family's even on board. But Owen sees this profound loneliness in Carl Westmeister, this man who lost everything. And he realizes that as much as he needs a friend, Carl needs one even more. So in this incredible act of empathy, he gives his dog to the man on the mountain.
And that just leaves us with one final question, doesn't it? This entire crazy caper was set in motion by the hunt for $5 million in diamonds. But in the end, the most valuable thing in this whole story wasn't the treasure at all. It was the connections between people. It really makes you think, what are the things we chase, and what are the things that are actually worth holding on to?